You want to build a great sales team that hits those high revenue targets, then this video is for you.
Your value increases when you add value to others.
As salespeople, we're still human beings. It doesn't take away from the fact that no, we're also trying to do certain things to ensure that we're providing value to certain people. And so, as we're in the sales department or in a sales function, there are so many things that you have to take into consideration, especially as a manager, as a higher level exec. When you're trying to build a sales team, it's important to understand that salespeople are not just a particular commodity or an asset to the business, because that's not what like they could be looked as like that from the business perspective, but that's not what they are. They're literally the face of the company. They are they are kind of the integral part of the company actually making those big numbers or making um those bringing in those clients. So there's a lot more that they have to drive, because they drive your brand awareness. They drive how you are portrayed in the market, because oftentimes we think that, oh, sales teams just go do their job and then they can come back and just let the marketing team take care of the marketing and the brand awareness and so on. But it's the other way around, because your sales team are actually going to be meeting people face to face, or they're going to be speaking to customers face to face, or on the phone, cold calling, emailing, whatever. They're at the forefront. So they are going to be believed first because of their face value and so on. So you need to understand what actually works for your sales team. And when you're trying to understand and figure out those details, you need to understand that to build a great sales team, you need to allow them freedom to actually understand what they're going to be doing and how their role is seen fit for that particular product or service that they're selling. So allow them to use a pitch that works for them, because everyone is different. Everyone's way of communication is different. Although when you're dealing with bigger, when you're dealing with corporate clients and so on, whether it's business to business or even business to consumer, you're going to be trying to understand what type of vocabulary and the way they speak to the customers. You want that to be the same across different channels and so on and so forth. So ideally, what you want to be doing is you want them to understand the lingo that they're supposed to use for your customers, and also the lingo that you use repetitively within business meetings and so on, for customers to understand the value that the product or service brings to that customer. So yes, you will have a mainframe pitch deck, or you have a mainframe a pitch which is in text, and they're supposed to follow that and so on. But they cannot blindly follow a pitch, because once they blindly follow something, you're going to lose the originality of that person's uniqueness. That's not going to come across in a conversation. And so they're going to be forced to kind of do certain things a certain way, and that's not going to look very nice for the organization, or it's not even going to look positive for that particular sale that they're going in for. So what I found in my past experiences while training sales teams or building sales teams is that we show the way of how the sales should happen, and we obviously give them a breakdown of how we can pitch the pricings and so on, or how to build rapport with the customer, or how to understand the customer's needs better. But at the same time, you need to instill the sales team to not just pitch the product or service, but to actually provide the value first. So whilst they're conversing and whilst they're speaking to the customer, you're ideally trying to build an awareness, and you're trying to help them understand what sort of value your product and your services bring to the customer as the end user. So, and by doing that, you're bringing in the awareness to the customer that we can help you solve those things with this package involved, or with this service involved, or with this product involved. So a lot of sales managers or people building teams think that the only way to get sales done is the way that they sold when they were selling their products. So for example, if I were to sell a particular product, I did have this early on, whereas like if I'm training you to do certain things a certain way, just follow it, because whatever I've done is tried, true, and tested. But you often try, like when you're trying to make someone fit a mold, it's very difficult for that human being to fill those voids and just fill those gaps where you would have answered things differently or where you would have taken things differently. So I learned this the hard way, where I was being trained, or I was going on shadow demos and so on, or sales pitches, and I was trying to understand, and I was trying to copy certain people. And what it ended up happening was, when you're trying to copy certain people, it takes away your uniqueness, because as salespeople, you're going to be bombarded with questions. You're firstly going to even be questioned for the organization that you work for, how long you've been working, or what you're going to be doing. Are you going? Is this like something that you're just going to sell and run away from? How is the service going to be? So there are so many questions that a customer or a prospect has. So you need to you really have a mountain to climb, and with that mountain to climb, you have additional pressure of trying to follow certain things a certain way or fit a particular mold, which is not going to help you in that sales, in your sales output. So ideally you end up losing that sale. So sales is a dynamic process, and in this dynamic process, you need, in order to have success, you have to be unique at what you do. So I don't say the same things as someone else. So if I don't say it in the same tone and in the same, capacity, in the same way of explaining, then what happens is you're losing out on not just your uniqueness, but you're losing out on conveying the right message to those people that you're actually talking to. So make sure you understand the process of sales. Make sure you understand the lingo you're supposed to use. Make sure you're trying to understand how it's being portrayed, or how your product or service is being portrayed in the market, and then try to formulate your own pitch. I try to do this exercise with the salespeople when I'm training them, is for them to write their own pitch and kind of pitch it and see how much they've understood about the product, how much they've understood about, how they can strategically think about pricing and strategy and so on. And then from there, you're building upon their knowledge base, and then you're adding to them. So there might be certain things they might say wrong or whatever, but that's fine. You're trying to add more depth, or you're trying to add more oomph to that sales pitch. So when you're trying to do that, you're really trying to nail down on what exactly they've done right and wrong, and you're trying to actually observe, and you're more like a coach. Think of it like you're a coach. You're as that middle person when you are getting all that pressure for numbers, because that's always going to be there. So that's the other thing. When you're going to have a pressure from the top, you as a manager have to be like a sponge, soak in all that pressure, because you're going to have pressure from both sides. You're going to have pressure from maybe customers. You're going to have pressures from your salespeople. You're going to have pressure from the top management. And when you do have all these three pressures coming in, soak up all that pressure. Don't exert that pressure from you to your sales team, because that will just directly affect their efficiency. And so what I try to do is to like take away that pressure, is to actually explain things in a certain way that they understand, or maybe even get on a few cold calls yourself, maybe even put yourself in their shoes and say, look, I can't, like, if I can show you how to do it, will you be able to do it? So in certain ways that will help you, and in the same way it will also boost their morale, because you're in it with them, you're fighting with them, rather than taking the route of just taking them into one-on-one and just saying, look, you're not hitting your targets, we're going to give you like a span of 1 month where you can actually recoup yourself and perform. That's putting pressure on them. Rather, try to empower them to actually do the right things and see where they need those small certain tweaks. As a successful salesperson, you would know where the tweaks need to be, because again, you're a human being, you have natural instincts, and go with your instinct, because that's actually going to help you. So always be true to yourself. True to yourself in the sense that when you're a manager, and even when you are a salesperson, be true to yourself, because truly when you connect with people, that's when things happen and that's when things click. Because as a salesperson, you have enough numbers driven pressure as it is. So when you're having those numbers driven pressure, you don't want added pressure of, oh no, I'm going to lose this job, or oh no, if I don't hit this target, I'm not going to get that salary hike or whatever, or an incentive or anything. So you want to take away as much pressure that you can, and you allow them to actually shine in the best way possible. And so at the end of the day, you're human beings, you have customers to take care of, you have to provide value, and value based selling will help you go a long way. Whether this may be using social media, whether this is using anything, cold calling, or whether meeting customers or webinars or seminars or anything that you are networking with to actually bring in those clients, it's really important that you provide value at the end of the day. That is your number one target when you're going into a particular sale. If you figure out that process, then everything else will fall into place. As a manager, there will always be that pressure, because when you have that particular pressure, when you're handling a 50-member sales team or a 60-member sales team, you always have the particular pressure. But just because you have that pressure doesn't mean that you don't work towards obtaining a particular target. You can't get carried away by the pressure. Let the pressure be as it is, but work on the process. Have you set those process? If you haven't, as a manager, if you fail to set the process, then take time for yourself, reflect, and see how you can actually set a process. If you think that you're not able to set a process by yourself because you don't know the full chain of event, or this just the events that happen in the sales team, then either you pick up the phone and you start selling, or if you're not aware of certain things, then sit with probably your top sales reps, understand what's to be done, give them a responsibility of merging and kind of working together with them, and providing your team also certain responsibilities to actually pick them up, so you can help the top reps helping other people and so on. So bring out some innovative thoughts within the team, because you, at the end of the day, no matter how much training and development you do, if your team doesn't work like a team, you're not going to have the output that you desired. So you can have goals, you can have expectations, but if you don't set them clearly, and if you don't have a pathway to that success, then it's hard for anyone to understand what you're trying to say. So maybe 1 week goes and you've been unclear with whatever you've said. What's going to happen is, at the end of the day, if they haven't hit the target, you can't question them, because you know that you haven't set the processes straight. Now, what's going to happen? Eventually, your sales are going to, your pipeline is going to crumple down. You're not going to have enough in the pipe. You're going to have a lot of pressure to convert the ones that you have. So you're going to end up knocking, like you're going to knock at the wrong doors at the wrong time, and you're going to lose out on sales. You're going to pressure the wrong people at the wrong time. So you're going to lose out on long-term customers. So it will have a very negative impact. So it's really important for you to have an effective leadership, a leadership that works, because it's not just being ethically strong in terms of how you create a positive work environment, but it's also improve the performance on a daily basis of your sales team. Work with them together, help them kind of navigate through issues. No, make yourself available to them, because a lot of times I see managers not being able to be available to their sales teams. So what happens is your teams don't know where to go when they have a problem, and that could be a huge problem, because at the moment of crisis, everyone needs someone to kind of rely on or depend on, or no, just bounce off of ideas. And if you're going to say, as a salesperson, if you're going to take or a sales manager, you're going to take a back seat and just watch your team do their thing, it's not going to help them progress. Yeah. So let's see. So a few more things that I have, that I want to discuss is, using technology and tools. Like, nowadays we have a lot of AI tools, we have technology and tools like no integrated with our CRMs and integrated with just our landing pages or to scrape off data and so on. And when you have those tools, use those tools effectively within your team. So share leads or openly have discussions of who's going to get what and how are they getting it, and have an understanding of um who, like, if for example you have inbound and outbound sales and both are segregated, try to understand how you can segregate that in the best way possible, so that you're able to look at people's strengths and weaknesses. Have a customer centric approach, because at the end of the day your customers are going to bring in more customers, and that's ideally where you want to be. So it's really key for you to take care of the current customers, and you as a manager take care of your sales team, because they'll take care of your customers, and that's a chain reaction that's going to be, you're going to set precedence over there. And then also have feedback and performance reviews. I think a lot of people are difficult, like just find it very difficult to have those hard conversations. And when you find it difficult to have hard conversations, um, it's also difficult for your team to grow. And I don't just say this because no, being in sales, no, you just look at, okay, if someone hasn't done their targets or hit their targets, no, maybe 2-3 weeks in a row, and you just fire them. Also try to understand, maybe what is it, what's happening on the back end, what's the actual issue they're facing, how are they not like able to hit those targets, and then see what you can do from your end to kind of support them, give them that support. Because all in all, you want your team to adapt and kind of innovate and move forward. So it's not just following a script or following the procedures that you already have, but also making data driven decision making amongst the sales team and individual, because you want self motivated people who can actually go ahead and do the job without being questioned why you're not doing this or why you're not doing that. And people generally don't like to be questioned so much. Ideally, what we want to do is we want to provide them this platform for them to perform and allow them to perform. And so yeah, that's pretty much it. I hope you guys found this useful, guys. And if you feel like you have anything to say, please put it in the comment section. And if you haven't already, please do like and subscribe, and also try to see if you can share this video with people that might find this useful. And I'll see you in the next one. Thanks, guys. Cheers.